My PhD research, Acts of Hospitality, the role of the guest and host as arts practice, centres on my experiences as an artist in rural communities in Ireland. When working in community-based contexts, I've often embodied either the role of the guest, as outsider or observer, or the host, as initiator or facilitator. This research explores the subtle transitions between those two subject positions. It questions what is between the role of the guest and host, understanding it as a kind of movement that flows, an interchange or entanglement where forms of reciprocity can emerge. I use the term hospitality to encompass these actions and ideas, and I have identified the hotel as an ideal site to explore how these roles of guest and host are played out, contested, and expressed. Under the title The Hotel, my site-specific research sets out to trace the complex dynamics of hospitality in rural communities in Ireland. It concentrates on towns where the hotel no longer functions for the purpose for which it was constructed. The history and narratives of each of these hotels and towns are individual and local, but for each there are circumstances, characteristics and consequences that speak to Ireland nationally and larger forces internationally. I have a different relationship with each site, as the identities of guest and host have differing and complex significances in each place. My account of these hotels, towns, and the people I have met is interwoven with images, stories and narratives shared with me by others and of my own experiences. These images here are an insight into my experiences in Boyle and discussing and thinking about the Royal Hotel. As a guest in Boyle, I was brought on walks, drives, brought for drinks, carried out dialogues, listening, documenting, mapping, charting ground, and tracing textures. It became clear after my experiences as a guest in Boyle that the Royal Hotel was central to the town's social fabric, and when it closed in 2012, it not only left nowhere for guests to stay in the centre of town, but also there was a loss of a social space for events like birthdays, christenings, or just a drink with a friend locally. As a host, I started to collect the images, memories, and stories shared with me about the Royal Hotel in audio recordings, by archiving, indexing, site visits, home visits, reminiscing, and plenty of cups of tea. The descriptions and explanations of the contexts of the Royal Hotel and others are historical, geographical, social, and cultural. I explore the historical and cultural conditions that lie beneath or behind my Irish identity, in the process of this research. I'm tracing the significance of hospitality in Irish society, examining its links to the ancient Irish Brehon law of hospitality, the Celtic revival, and the Irish literary renaissance, which looked at that ancient Celtic time for ways to form narratives and narrate the Irish nation state. Looking at how we narrate our Irish history has a renewed focus, especially during this decade of remembering. I explore concepts of Irish hospitality and Irish identity in an attempt to disrupt and interrogate some of the tropes and stereotypes that can be associated, and how these social constructs are formed and proliferated.